Hey everyone, welcome to Art Mood, your online resource for art in the classroom. I am your host, Mr. Sad, and it is so good to see you again. I know it has been a while since I have uploaded a video, and that is because unfortunately my computer crashed about 2 weeks ago, and I've been spending a lot of time upgrading and adding some new parts to it so that it would work again. And so now here we are. My video editing is working again, and we're recording, and so again, you'll just have to forgive me for that, but today we are going to get into a new lesson. This lesson is called Emotions and Art. So we're going to study some emotions and art together as a group, as a class. I have already taught this in the school, so this will be really easy and more of a refresher for me, but it should be new to all of you online. Just as a warning, this lesson is for third, fourth, and fifth graders, okay? If you are in kindergarten, first, or second grade, you need to go into the link below and go to the line lesson that I have already prepared for you. And that is because there's some rather weird stuff in this painting, and I think it's going to be better for third, fourth, and fifth grade, not kindergarten, first, and second. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen now. We are going to look at this PowerPoint together, and hopefully everything will be good now because I've already recorded this once. So here we are, emotions and art. So the first thing I want to do is ask this question to yourself. What's that look on your face? Have you ever heard this question asked by you before or asked by someone before? Look at this picture of this kiddo down here. He's looking kind of down right now. This would be someone that I would ask the same thing. I would say, hey man, what's that look on your face for? And so I can remember a time in my life where my dad saw me come home from school and I was not having a great day and he could see it all over my face. I was upset and I was sad. And he asked me that question, what's that look on your face for? And I find it interesting that our faces can actually do this. It's a part of our body that actually can tell us how we are feeling on the inside. So it's interesting because our faces tell us a lot about how we feel. They can also tell us how others feel as well. And our face is kind of like the key to understanding our emotions. And so here's what we're going to do today. We're going to learn about a new artist and how she uses emotions in her work. We will also practice drawing our own faces with some different emotions. We will also explore and draw emotions from our memory. Those are our 3 goals today. So I want to get started. So let's get started right away. This is a new piece that you guys haven't seen yet. So let's first look at this piece. I know it's kind of weird at first, but there's 2 things I need you to ask yourself when you look at this painting. First, I want you to ask, what am I seeing? What do I first notice about this painting? After you've noticed something from the painting and you've picked something out, the second question I want you to ask yourself is this: why did I choose that? What makes me say that? Those are 2 questions that I want you to pause the video and ask yourself. What am I noticing and why did I pick that? So pause the video, take like 30 or 40 seconds to do that. Hopefully it's been about 30 or 40 seconds for you to do that and you've at least picked out 1 or 2 things from this portrait because we're going to talk about it for a few minutes. So what are you guys noticing from this painting? I can't really interact with you guys, but I will try to pick some of the things that we've talked about in class already. Some things that students definitely noticed right away was that they had trouble figuring out if this was a woman or a man. And so I'll go ahead and affirm to you guys that this is definitely a woman. And then I asked them, why did they have a question about that? What confused them about it? Some of the boys in the class said that, well, she has shorter hair. And so I don't typically see a girl with shorter hair. And I was like, all right, well, that doesn't necessarily mean she's not a woman, but I see that. That makes sense. Some of the girls started talking about how they usually see boys that have facial hair. And I was like, that is also true. So what does that tell us about her? Is this a woman that is from here? Is this a woman that was from a long time ago? And they all agreed, yeah, this is probably a woman that is not from around here. And so then I asked them, let's look around the face now, or look at the emotions in the face. Do you guys have an idea of, or what are some other things that you're noticing around here? And they talked about the emotions on her face and they said, I don't really know what kind of emotion she has, but she looks kind of upset. And I asked them, I was like, why did you notice that? And they said, well, because the face is the first thing that I notice when I look at this picture. And I was like, that's very true. I think the face is like the center of this whole painting. So it definitely makes sense that you noticed that first. Some other things that the students noticed too were the animals in here, the monkey, the cat, and the bird that was around this girl's neck. Some kids thought, wow, this bird doesn't look like it's alive. It looks like it's hanging from her neck. And I was like, It does look like that. In fact, it even looks like it's dead. She's also got bugs around her hair and things like that. So that was kind of interesting. Other things that the students pointed out was the background looked like a jungle, which affirmed again that this is probably a woman from somewhere else. But the most interesting thing that the students eventually started to see was as they looked at the thorns around this woman's neck. She has this necklace made of thorns and twigs, and those thorns are actually piercing her neck, causing her to bleed, which was kind of shocking because we didn't know why this was happening. So we noticed lots of things in this picture. Hopefully that was one of the things you noticed. If you noticed something different, you can absolutely post in the comments below, and then you can tell me, why did you notice that? Why was something that you noticed? Now I'm gonna give you a little bit of information about this painting. This painting was made by a woman named Frida Kahlo, and Frida was born in 1907, and she passed away in 1954. She only lived about 47 years, but this also affirmed that she lived a long time ago. In our standards, she was almost 100 years ago, right? So it's been a long time since this woman's been around. But she was also a Mexican painter who specialized in self-portraits, portraits, and works inspired by the nature and artifacts of Mexico. And so some of the students also were like, well, this also makes sense too, that she looks a little different because we live in America and she lived in Mexico. Maybe this is something, maybe some of the way she dresses and things like that is different from us. And I was like, you're absolutely right. This woman was from a long time ago, and she was from a culture that's different from ours. And that might be why we notice things like the extra facial hair and the way she's dressed and things that might be a little bit different. But Frida was known for a lot of things, but one of the biggest things she was known for was her self-portraits. And so we asked that in class, what is a self-portrait? And over here, I wrote, a portrait is a drawing or painting of someone. It could be anyone. So if I had my brother and I was drawing a picture of my brother, I'd be drawing his portrait. If I was drawing a portrait of my dog, I'd be drawing, again, or painting a picture of him. There's a lot of ways that we can think of portraits, but what does that have to do with self-portraits? Well, self-portraits have the word self in them. So this means a self-portrait is a picture or drawing of yourself. So Frida made a lot of self-portraits, and we often see pictures of who? Her in her own work, right? That would be why she did a bunch of self-portraits. Now, if you look at the picture in the PowerPoint right here, I've got a man who is looking at himself in the mirror. And not only is he looking at himself in the mirror, he is painting a self-portrait of himself. So Frida was very famous for a lot of these. But Frida wasn't only known for her self-portraits. She was also known for the emotions she put in her portraits. Emotions. Now, my question to you is this, is why do you think emotions are important for a self-portrait? Over here, I have a little meme that is of a famous Hispanic man, actor named Danny Trejo. And Danny Trejo is known for the look that he's giving in these portraits, right? It's called the Danny Trejo look. And what happens is whenever Danny is feeling happy, they often see like this face. That's the joke. They see the same face no matter what emotion he has, right? So you could give Danny a cupcake and you wouldn't know if he liked it or not because you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between his faces. But I brought this picture up to, again, go back to that question, which is why do you think emotions are important for a self-portrait? These are all self-portraits or portraits of Danny Trejo. So why do you think it's important to know emotions in a self-portrait? And again, we talked about that as a class, that it's really hard to tell how Danny feels. And so if there was no emotions in a self-portrait, we wouldn't know how someone feels, or more specifically, the artist feels. So when we think of self-portraits, I want you to think of them as a way to express yourself or express ourselves, right? And we can do this a lot by showing emotions we feel. So right here in this painting also, there's a painting of a young man. And in this picture of this young man, we don't know his name. We don't know where he lives. We don't know where he's from. We don't know what's going on in his life, but we do know one thing about this young man in this picture, and that is he's probably upset about something. Does that make sense? This is why emotions are super important for our portraits, self-portraits. So let's take it back to this picture of Frida Kahlo. We'll wrap up with this, but we want to look at her face right now. I want to know, what emotions do you think she is feeling right now? And you can use clues throughout this entire painting. Sorry about that. But you can look at some clues throughout the painting that might let you know how she's feeling also. So just pause for a few seconds, and I want you to look at her face and imagine, have you ever seen someone with this type of face on? Have you ever seen anybody with this kind of look on their face? And how are they feeling? Just pause and give it about 30 seconds just to be thinking about it. Hopefully you're back now. It's been about 30 seconds for you to kind of look and see. But to answer, have you ever seen someone with this look on their face? Well, there was one time where I had a friend outside and he was sitting by himself, and I walked over to him and I was like, yo, dude, what's going on? Hey, are you okay? What's that look on your face for? And then he looked at me back like this. He's like, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong. I was like, are you sure, dude? I know the teacher just got done yelling at you because you had your phone out. I know you were supposed to and stuff. And he was like, dude, I'm fine. Really, I'm good. I'm like, are you sure, man? Because, I know you're saying you're not, but he's like, dude, I'm fine. Just go away. I'm good. How did that guy feel when I was talking to him? Clearly a little frustrated, but I think he was also upset. I think he was feeling a little down. And there's a lot of clues in this portrait of Frida that remind me of that face. First off is the eyes. Look at her eyes. Her eyes are looking straight at you. But if you look closely, it's almost like she's looking past you. Just like the guy in that in my story, he wasn't even looking at me. He just kept looking straight. He was just, I'm fine. That's kind of like the Frida look right now. And also her eyebrows, they are close together. And I know that the hair kind of makes it look like they're even closer. But whenever our eyebrows are a little bit more narrow like that, that shows a little bit more focused, and our muscles are straining in our forehead. And I think that's showing signs of tension and frustration, maybe even being upset. And also, if you look at her mouth too, I don't think she's smiling right here. Her lips are a little pursed and there's a little bit of curves around there. But overall, I think she's not feeling great right now. Maybe feeling a little bit sad. So overall, this is based on her face and her emotions alone. I think that Frida Kahlo is feeling a little down, feeling a little sad. And again, I kind of get that reaction because of the way her face looks. Now, another clue too that we can figure out how she is feeling is, how would you feel if you had thorns around your neck? A necklace made of thorns. Did y'all notice that again? These thorns are piercing her neck. And so based on the way her face is and the thorns around her neck, I think that Frida is feeling some pain. It's like she's kind of swallowing that pain, kind of hiding that pain. And I know that we've all been there. We've all been there when we don't feel like sharing our feelings with somebody, but that doesn't mean we're not feeling anything. I think Frida in this picture is feeling some pain. But what about the animals? Now, I want you to be clear, like, the animals actually tell us a lot about Frida's story in this painting. However, these are really more symbols, and we will talk about symbols next week. But for right now, I want to go ahead and pause what we are doing, and it is now your turn. We are actually going to take our example from Frida, and we're going to try to draw some emotions together. So I want you to get out your pencil and your sketchbook, and we're going to turn to the next available page. And I will clip to a different video where I am going to be drawing and showing you how to draw a happy face and a sad face. So go ahead and get your things, and I'll meet you back here right after that. All right, you are now watching me go ahead and start showing you how to draw the 3 emotions that we're going to do today. So what I need you to do is open up that sketchbook that you got and turn your sketchbook from north to south, vertical if you will. And what we're going to do is, to start this picture off, we're going to draw 3 different circles about that big. These are so that we can draw our 3 separate faces together. The first face we're going to look at is the happy face. And what I'm going to do is, while I'm recording this, I'm going to have a picture show up over here on the side showing you the face of a happy kid. Now, what are some things that you notice about this kid? How do you know he is happy? Well, we're going to look at 3 things. We're always going to look at their eyebrows, their eyes, and their mouth. Again, when we start with our faces, always I do this very lightly. Take your pencil and draw a cross towards the middle. And you can do this for all 3 if you would like. I am using a marker because it is easier to see on camera. You do not have to use a marker. In fact, I would recommend you use a pencil. And also, if I'm going a little fast for you guys know that you can hit that pause button and catch up with me. So the things that I noticed about that happy face were that the boy's eyes were a little bit squinty, and his eyebrows were just following those eyes also. But the big part is obviously that big cheesy grin he's got going on. So we're going to try to model that here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw my happy face, starting with this middle line. This is where my eyes are going to go. And I'm going to go about here on both sides and do a little bit of a frowny face. See those little frowny faces I got going on there? Right above the eyes, I will draw another, what looks like a little bit of a frowny face. But they're just following those lines above there. After I've done that, I'm going to start drawing the eyebrows. Again, the eyebrows are just above the eyes. They're not going too far forward to making them look angry. They're just like right above it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the letter C, get like that curvy line kind of going. Another backwards letter C. And the trick with eyebrows is that they start off thick and then they turn out thin. So all I'm doing is making a curve that goes around just like this. See that? I'm going to do it to the other side too. Now the reason I say they start out thick and then thin is because we're going to start over here, and what we're going to do is we're going to connect this thick side down to the back and make it nice and thin. So I'm going to do thick, then thin, just like that. Now for you guys, again, you are using pencils with erasers, and if I had an eraser, I would probably fix this eyebrow to make it look more like this one. But again, I can't and you can. So take advantage of that. Make sure to pause the video and make some changes if you need to. So now that I've got the two eyes that are upside down, or excuse me, the two smiley faces that are upside down, they look like eyes and the eyebrows, I'm going to go down to about halfway into the face. And this is about where I'm going to put my nose. Your nose is not directly in the center of your face. It's a different location. It's a little bit lower, and what we're going to do is a little tiny smiley face like this. Now, when I make that little tiny smiley face, it looks like a little tiny face, a little tiny old man with a little happy face. But as soon as I draw the mouth right underneath it, it's all going to come together. What we're going to do is we're going to draw the letter D as if it has fallen over on its side, just like that. And officially, you would be pretty much done. This smiley face already looks better than the typical one that we do whenever we're trying to draw one out. But some other details we can add. At this time, you could erase the cross that's going towards the middle so that you can do some of those details. But I would draw some wrinkles towards the eyebrow area. I would probably do a little bit of some wrinkles right around the eyes. Don't do too many wrinkles though, because then your person will start to look old. I'm going to do another little smiley face that kind of goes on the inside of the mouth now. Now you can kind of see where the teeth are being made. And then another frowny face right under that. And what I've done is I've actually made the mouth opened up a little bit. Looks like it's got a cheesy little grin going on. And then later I could add some other details like the ears and the hair. But I'm not really worried about that today. Remember, we're focused on the emotions. We're worried really about the face. The next face we're going to do is we're going to do a sad face. Everybody laughs and says that this is my favorite face. It is not. Just because I'm Mr. Sad. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at a little picture of a kid with a sad face on. And there's a couple things you might notice about the kid with a sad face. Typically when people are sad, their eyes are a little bit more open, their eyebrows are pulled back a little bit, and they usually have a frown or puckered lips. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. We're just going to find this line and going to start with the eyes. This time though, I'm going to do two small dots on each side of this middle line. The eyes are actually going to be open in this one, so I want to make sure that I make them very visible. We're then going to take the upper part of the eye, and we're going to start about here and here. And we're going to draw a line that just goes out and down. You'll see that? It just goes out and down, just like that. And again, since you guys have erasers, I wish I could erase this and line this up a little bit better. But overall, I'm happy with this. And as long as you're happy with your work too, then we're okay. For a little extra detail, you can do like a little tiny smiley face, a very shallow smiley face underneath these eyes. Again, these just show that the eyes and the pupils are kind of separated right here. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do that same thing before. I'm going to do like the letter C and a backwards C. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down and out, from thick to thin. Remember when we did that last time? Down and out, thick to thin, just like that. Starting at the center of the face too, I'm going to go about halfway down, make that little smiley face again. Now this kiddo looks like he's a happy person, right? That's really teared up. But the last detail too is we're going to make a long face, like a long smile. Notice how my face does not go past my eyes. That's because your mouth is not that big. It does not go past your eyes either. And overall, it looks like a pretty good sad face, but some things that you can add are that little pucker. We see pucker on people that are really, really sad about situations. You can again add some wrinkles up there towards the top. My favorite thing to add too for someone who is crying are these little white dots on the edge. It looks like they're tearing up. If you're a girl, you can absolutely add some longer eyelashes. A lot of people like to think that that's typical of a girl to have longer eyelashes, but that's up to you. You can do little pieces like that. I've got long eyelashes and I'm a boy, so I mean, it's kind of up to you. And then that's it. We have made a happy and a sad face. Now, the last face is what I want you to do is one that you make on your own. I want you to look at the examples that I show you in the video, and I want you to come up with a face. Remember, I want you to look at three things. I want you to look at the eyes, the eyebrows, and the mouth, and seeing what they are doing. Sometimes the nose. I say sometimes because our nose usually doesn't move unless it's under certain emotions. But guys, that's it. I'm going to turn back to the other one. Hopefully you have finished both of those two faces that we were going over together. We drew a happy face and a sad face. The last face in your journal is for you to kind of work on your own time. And you get to choose the emotion that you want to. This is the same chart that I hopefully showed you before. And what I want you to do is I just want you to pick one emotion that we haven't chosen yet, right? So not happy or sad, but maybe you do angry, excited, shy, guilty. Whatever you want to choose, I want you to just choose one. And before you draw, I want you to do the same steps that we did before when we were looking at the faces earlier. I want you to ask yourself, what's going on with the eyes? What's going on with the mouth? What about, are there any other details that help me know how they feel? What about the teeth, the hands? Where are they looking in this picture? All of these are really good, helpful hints to let you know how somebody feels. And so I'm going to kind of end off with some fun little things. You can also see a lot of emotions in illustration books. I had the book with me, but I don't have it on, I have it at school. I don't have it here. I wish I did. But if you guys check out the book, My Name is Sand Gold by Karen Lynn Williams. There's a really cool story about a man or a young boy who is going through a lot of emotions, and you can really tell how he is feeling, but not what he is saying in this book. So my question for you is, how does Sangol feel? How can you tell? Post in the comments below if you've read this book, and see if you can answer those questions for me. Maybe I can score you a little extra credit or something like that. But let's review. Today we learned all about emotions in art. We saw a famous artist, Frida Kahlo, and her self-portrait. We also saw how emotion can really tell us a lot about how the artist feels. Last, we drew some emotions together, and we learned how to manipulate the face a little bit to show some emotions. And next time, we'll dive into symbols and self-portraits. It's really a fun topic that we'll talk about. But we're going to ask ourselves, like, what are symbols and what do they tell us about art? Now, for this is my exit ticket out for my class inside at school. And my question for them was, is on your way out, tell me which emotion you drew and how you showed it in your work. Again, you can post that in the comments also. Which emotion did you draw and how did you draw it? Did you draw an angry face and did you focus more on the eyebrows? You know, things like that. And then you can also post in the comments too, if you're worried or you feel pretty good about drawing your face. This is for my 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, because I know drawing faces isn't the easiest thing in the world, but just tell me how you are feeling. But that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about emotions and Frida Kahlo. Hopefully you were able to draw some good faces in there. I look forward to seeing them soon. Just remember to send them through my email. But that's it for me. I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. And guys, always remember, you're just one idea away from being in an art mood. And that's it. Take care. I'll see you later.